Shalom brothers and sisters who have arrived here on this channel. The video that I'm about to make for you guys is simply amazing. It lasted over 1 hour and 40 minutes in the Portuguese one, and I'm hoping that this will last at least an hour long here because I'm speeding up some things that I have to say here in order to be more efficient. I also have to apologize for you guys for making this live stream so late at night, but I simply could not postpone this information any longer. I know I was supposed to make this live stream on Rumble because in there we don't have so much censorship here in this channel in rumble.com/Ricardo Garcia. I was supposed to make this live stream here because of censorship from YouTube. However, it's so much work to record once and then edit the video and then prepare again the video for the same thing. Basically, it's like a full-time job here, so it's very difficult, and I prefer to do this way already on YouTube. So I'm hoping that some terms that I cannot use fully on YouTube, you will understand if I do it like coded message for you guys in some terms here in order for the YouTube not to block my channel or my video here for you guys. So what I have to talk about here today is about the seals of the Revelation marked in the skies. So the seals of Revelation marked in the skies is something that is literally happening as we speak right now. So on the previous video on YouTube, you saw that the Moedins, the times, the feasts of God was being marked in the skies by the sun, moon, and stars. And now in this video, you will see the seals of the Revelation happening in the skies and its effect on earth also happening as well. What does this mean? Does this mean that the seals have already been opened or is about to be opened? I'm not sure. I used to believe that the seals are after the rapture. I actually still believe in that. However, I cannot deny the information that I'm going to provide you guys here. And perhaps this is happening in the sky and on earth as a foreshadow of what will happen worse in the tribulation. Or perhaps this is actually the beginning of the seals that we cannot previously understand as we can right now. So this information is so strong, I will go straight through to the clock in the skies here to show the hour in which we are right now. So this is the clock in the skies as I have been showing you guys for a few videos right now. And the hour we are right now is this one. So the sun is about to go to the 7th constellation, and the moon is about halfway through to it become a new moon. So it's about the 21st, 22nd day of the month of the Virgo, of the 6th month, when the sun is about to reach the 7th constellation, and the moon is also approaching the sun in order to, so it becomes a new moon, and it begins the next month, which is the 7th month, the Tishrei month, the next Shemitah cycle as well. The next 7-year cycles begins here on this next new moon. So this is the hour in which we are right now. And this is a very important hour for us because we are approaching the fall feasts as we understand them as fall, but actually falling on a summer, a full summer here in Israel, as I spoke on the last video. And this is a moment for the last moment, possible moment in the year for a harvest of wheat, a harvest of barley, a harvest of the church, which happens all the way into the end of the summer in Israel, which will be by the end of this October, and starting November it will change to winter, rainy winter, in which you don't harvest anymore. So this is the last possible moment in this year 2022 for the harvest of the church, for the harvest of the wheat. If it has to follow this pattern here, then that's the moment when we can expect the rapture, the harvest to happen right now. Now, before I go explain what's happening in the sky, first I need for you to read the Bible with me on Revelation 4. So we have here the Revelation 4, the book of Revelation, and then we have here this passage in Revelation 4, the throne in heaven. I believe, and many of us watchmen also believe, that this is the moment where the rapture happens. Revelation 4, because it says, after this, after the churches, I looked, and there before me was a door standing open in heaven. So a door open in heaven. And the voice I had first heard speaking to me like a trumpet, so a trumpet call, said, come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this. So a voice like trumpet in an open door, telling John here, symbolizing the church, to come up here. So basically this is like a rapture scenario here for us. That's what, where I believe the rapture will happen. Also because he was in spirit, and he was before the throne in heaven, with Jesus sitting on it. And then he saw the 24 elders, and also he saw here, in the front of the throne, 7 lamps were blazing. These are the 7 spirits of God. So in Revelation 1, we see Jesus telling that the 7 spirits are with the 7 churches, and they are the 7 lamps, which are now blazing before the throne of God. So the church must be already lit before the throne of God after John sees this. So the rapture is before the seals, as we understand right now. But let's keep on going. In the center around the throne were 4 living creatures, and they were covered with eyes in the front and in the back. So these are angels, but major angels, like archangels, which were in the center around the throne of God. The first living creature was like a lion, the second was like an ox, the third had a face like a man, and the fourth like a flying eagle. So we have here the lion, the ox, the man, and the eagle. 4 living creatures. And those living creatures around the throne of God also appears in Ezekiel. So let's go to Ezekiel 1. We see his vision here, and he sees this. And in the fire was that what I looked like 4 living creatures. So he saw also the 4 living creatures. In appearance, their form was human, so they had a human-like body. But each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. So here, 4 faces. Their faces looked like this. Each of the 4 had the face of a human being, and on the right side each had the face of a lion, and on the left the face of an ox, and each also had the face of an eagle. So again, the lion, the eagle, the man, and the ox. So the same 4 faces here we saw when John sees in Revelation 4. And then on Ezekiel 10, he basically says that these are archangels, that those are cherubims. So archangels. The sound of the wings of the cherubim could be heard as far as the outer court, like the voice of the God Almighty when he speaks. So remember, the rapture will happen with the voice of an archangel, just like the voice of the God Almighty. That's when the rapture will happen. And we see here, and we read on the verse 14, each of the cherubim had 4 faces. One was like of a cherub, the second was the face of a human, the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of eagle. He missed the ox here, but I believe ox is this one here, he said. So the same 4 living creatures in Revelation and in Ezekiel here, showing us these living creatures, these archangels, around the throne of God. Now that you see these in Revelation and in the throne of God, I will show you what it's like on the sky clock. So basically we see that one had the face of a human, the other the face of a lion, the other the face of ox, and the other the face of a flying eagle. So human Aquarius, the lion Leo, Taurus the ox, and Scorpio would be the eagle. Why would Scorpio be the eagle? Well, in ancient zodiac, in ancient astronomy uh, sites, they used to call Scorpio as the eagle. So you can see here an archangel or their face of the cherubim, as they saw in Ezekiel, and you have here the Leo, Aquarius the man, Taurus the ox, and Scorpio used to be the eagle. So that's why we use Scorpio today, but it used to be the eagle, the ancient form here of Scorpio nowadays. That's why Scorpio is considered to be the eagle. As you can see here, this is a representation of the throne of God, because God would be in the center around what we call the star Polaris, which is right in the middle, in the center of the earth. And then we have these four corners of the earth here, which is around the throne of God. And they are the constellations which they are in are precisely that in which the animals, the living creatures that John and Ezekiel saw. One has the face of a man, Aquarius, the other the face of a lion, Leo, the other the face of the ox, the Taurus, and the last one the face of an eagle, which used to be, which is now Scorpio, but it used to be the eagle. So, as you can see here on this earth, you can see that the constellations basically shows for us either a symbolism or an actual idea of how it is upstairs in the heavens above us. So this is something already amazing for you to understand this biblical astronomy as we are seeing right now. And now that you understand this, we're gonna look at the signs that appears on basically these constellations here that points for the seals of the revelation to be opened, or somewhat opened here around the times in which we are right now. So going here back to the Bible, let's read now Revelation 6, which are the seals being opened by the Lamb. So here, let's read with me here, Revelation 6. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. So, as soon as the Lamb opened the seals, one of the living creatures releases the rider, which are the 4 horsemen, which come on earth to bring destruction, to come on earth to bring judgment, to come on earth to bring literally the book of Revelation to be revealed. Let's put it that way. So after the Lamb opens the seal, one of the 4 living creatures, doesn't say which one, releases the first rider, which is here the white horse, or a symbol of the Antichrist, the symbol of the man or the spirit which will deceive the nations and will conquer the nations here, because he has a bow, he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror to conquest people, nations, and tongues. So let's stop here and look at what this might look like in the sky, and you will see that this actually is very, very interesting here. So, knowing this position of this constellation in the sky here, the 4 corners of the earth, the 4 living creatures here, we're first gonna look at the lion. The lion here, which I believe it is the first animal releasing the first rider, the first horseman to ride on earth, which is the Antichrist. Why? Because the voice like thunder, I believe it's most likely the voice of a lion as well. So let's go that way. So the first sign we have to look at is the sign of the lion, which for us on the 22nd of August 2019 happened a major conjunction on the constellation of the lion, but basically on the star of Regulus. Regulus is the brightest star in the constellation of the Leo. So let's go to Stellarium so you guys can see with me what I'm talking about. So let's see here. There we go. We have the constellation here of Leo on Stellarium. The date here is the 9th of August 2019. And as you can see here, the planets are approaching Leo, and they will converge here on the star of Regulus, the brightest star on this constellation. So as we go further here a few days, all the way until here the 21st and 22nd, let's put it 21st or 22nd here, we see a major conjunction here with Mars, Venus, and the Sun on Regulus, the brightest star on Leo. This points for us that the first living creature, the one that has the face of a lion, is about to release the first horseman, which is the white horse, or the Antichrist. And how can we see that this is real? Well, let's look at what happens on the next constellation, which is supposed to be the constellation for the Antichrist, for the beast that is released on Earth. So going back here, we see that this constellation is supposed to open here or release the first horseman, which is portrayed as the constellation of the Sagittarius, which is a hybrid beast, half man, half horse, that has a bow, has an arrow here, and he symbolizes the first horseman. And precisely right after the constellation here, the conjunction on Regulus, on the 26th of December 2019, something major also happened in this constellation, which is a ring of fire solar eclipse. Now let's look together here, so you guys can see what happened right after this constellation, this conjunction here in August. So after this conjunction in August, we go here to December. Now we look, the sun pointing here, Sagittarius, the hybrid beast from the Earth. And on the 26th day, we just go back a few hours here. On the 26th day of December, something major happens here, right in the bow of the first beast here, the first horseman, which is a ring of fire total solar eclipse. So this sign here happening in the sky right in the bow of this horseman is clearly pointing that this horseman, this rider, was released on Earth, because this solar eclipse looks like a crown, has a conjunction here with Jupiter, the king planet, let's put it that way. So the king planet with this crown here of a solar eclipse on the bow of this archer, and we have here this crown, Corona Australis, which is a crown here that is right under this constellation of Sagittarius. So major signs happening here in this constellation right after the conjunction of Leo in the sky here in August 2019. Now, if you remember what happened on Earth on December 2019, basically I shouldn't just give the Wikipedia page here for you guys to remember, but I will try to do this because it's something major that happened here precisely when. So precisely on wait here, precisely on December 2019, that's when the the Chinese problem happened in the world. So precisely on December 2019, right when it was happening here, a major sign in the sky in the rider with the bow, the first horseman, that's when the Chinese problem started around the world. And if you have been living here in the past 2 years or 3 years, you do understand the consequences that literally affected the whole world of the Chinese problem. So this is something very big that happened here on the same day that the Chinese problem happened. So it seems like this rider was released starting there on the east and going towards the west. So it began on Asia, in China, and then expanded itself towards all the other countries around the world. So it was a major problem that happened throughout the world. Right after this conjunction, so the sun, the moon here, and the stars were pointing that something major was happening here, and the symbolism is perfect. Happening right after the conjunction of the first living creature releasing here the first horseman. To confirm this even further, we have the Illuminati, those that control this world, also confirming this for us, because if we go to YouTube here, we can see that on August 26, 2019, so right after the conjunction with Leo, let me just show it again here, on August here, 26, you will see here the conjunction has just passed, or was just finished here on the constellation of Leo. Right after this, they released a commercial for a perfume of the brand Lancome Paris. And they are literally portraying here on August 26, 2019. So this was probably finished before the conjunction, and they released after the conjunction. They were portraying here the white horse, and the rider of the white horse here being released on Earth. As you can see here, the white horse was coming into the scene, coming into the city. It seems like they cannot see the white horse here, the rider of the white horse, but it is there. And they also point out the sun in this commercial here. So the rider of the white horse, the sun here, and the perfume here, which is what he has to conquer the nations. So they will use this perfume or this attraction to conquer the nations, as the rider of the white horse do. And the name of this perfume is called Idol. So it's literal an idol, or the Illuminati idol, or the idol from the Satanism, the Luciferianism. That's their idol, which just started to show up on Earth right after the beast, the first living animal, first living creature surrounding the throne of God, the lion, the cherubim with the face of the lion, releases the rider of the white horse. And precisely a few months later, this major conjunction here on Sagittarius, symbolizing the first rider, happens in conjunction with something that happens major on Earth that changes the way we live up until now. So a major confirmation here for us. And also I have something even further to confirm this. When this happened, I was already making videos on YouTube, and thankfully I had this calendars that I have been making since 2018, and that's why I have many, let's say, links to news that happened on that moment, July, June, May 2019, up to starting on 2018. That led me to check what happened in August 2019 when this first living creature was supposed to release the rider of the white horse, the first seal. And look what I found here on the days 14 and 15 of August 2019. So this is something that I found interesting that happened on the 14th of August 2019. So plane faces flaming sky to annihilate massive fires on Greek islands. I found it interesting because it's like we live on a Greek world right now, and the sky was like red, full of fire here. So this was a major thing. But something even more major than this is this. So on the website of Israel, they had this happening on August 2019. Exclusive. The burning of the heifer takes place in preparation for the third temple. So on August 2019, the rabbis, the Jewish nation, they were burning the heifer here. It's not a red heifer, but it's a royal one, an albeit one, in preparation for the purification ceremony for the third temple. So they were trying to bring their Messiah, which is the Antichrist, which is the rider of the first horse, into the scene by doing this sacrifice, by doing this ceremony. And as you can see, they were right on time with the constellation of the conjunction on the Leo, and right after it, the rider actually comes into the scene. And as you can see, on December, this happened here. And as this happened throughout the world, they already put this other information here on their website on February 2020 that prove that this problem is the cause that was prophesied in the Bible and how it relates to the end of days. So they said, and they were correct and confirmed this, that this problem that happened in China in December and went out to the whole world, it relates to the end of days. And even more, they said this: the problem is like this: God destabilizes the world economy by the arrival of the Messiah, says Rabbi. So on February 2020 here, as this was escalating quickly, the rabbi said that this is something that has to happen for the arrival of their Messiah, which is what? The rider of the white horse, the first horseman, which will deceive the nations, and has actually deceived the nations. So basically this is happening here on the sky and on the earth, perfectly aligned as we saw here on the sky. This had such an enormous impact in the world that I believe it could be counted as the first seal. I don't know if this is the actual first seal of the Revelation or it's a foreshadowing of something even worse that will happen after the church leaves, but we cannot deny that this actually happened in the skies and happened here on the earth as well. And as you can see here, the rider of the white horse, he gives a bait, so he causes the problem in order to what? Inject the solution that he wants. That's how he deceives, that's how he conquer the nations. So he come forth bringing this problem starting in China, which I believe is the bow, the instrument, the bait, and he, because of this bait, he used to deliver the arrow, the pointing needle that he used with toxins in the end here to inject poison into people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I cannot be more specific than this, or else I am in a very risk of being censored by YouTube. However, if you can understand what I'm saying, he used the bow, the problem, as a bait in order to release the arrow, the needle, the jab with the toxin into those who were deceived. And this also happened in the skies, my brothers and sisters. So after 1 year of him being in this world, by the end of the next year, 2020, also on the 21st of December 2020, we see the effects of the arrow coming up. So this also happened in a conjunction with Jupiter and Saturn. So let's go here to Stellarium once again, and I'll show what happened here right 1 year after this situation. So one prophetic year, 360 days after, we see here the sun is still in Sagittarius, the rider of the first of the white horse, the first horseman, and right on the 21st of December, we see here, as you can see here, behind the first beast, the first horseman, but right after the in front of the second beast here, both hybrid beasts, one from the earth and one from the water, Capricornius. We see here that Jupiter and Saturn comes together here perfectly in between them on the 21st day of December. A lot of news information, they said that this conjunction might be the start of Bethlehem. So as we were here in 2020, we saw this. It was a major thing in the skies, and some were saying that this was the start of Bethlehem. Of course, not for the church or not for Jesus, but for the Antichrist, because that's when something major also happened when in the world. So because of the problem, they started to quickly assemble something to resolve the problem. And as you can read here, I'm not going to read it all, but you said that they were trying to resolve the problem as soon as possible. But the major thing that I want you to see is this. This company, this devilish company that starts with P and ends with Iser, started to do a new technology trying to make something or give a message to your body, to your inner parts of your body, so to your cells. They created this new technology or newish technology which they can provide a new message to your body in order to literally do an adultery of your body. They wanted to change how your body works, giving this message to your body. And as you can see here, as you can read, as of 21st of December, precisely the date that this was happening, as of 21st of December, many countries in the European Union had already authorized or approved this P jab, together with the United States and the Arabs as well. So most places in the world approved this message from this devilish company to give into people around the world, and many were deceived, many were conquered by this arrow that came out of the first seal, the first horseman. So he was given a crown and he rode out as a conqueror to bent on conquest. When he shoot an arrow and people received his arrow with the toxin, he was able to conquer the person from inside out, from their DNA, their genetic code, changing how it works or how it was supposed to work by the perfect creator who made it and signed his work. That's how this first writer came, given a problem, and then the solution to enter the people's body and change their genetic code in a way that they would be changed from inside out, or they would be killed from inside out, just like the Trojan horse. So this is something major that happened precisely just as you can see here on the sky and also on Earth 1 year precisely after the problem. So this writer here actually conquer a whole lot of the portion of the world. So I believe more than 60% of the people in the world have received his arrow, has accepted his arrow, and had no idea how awful this is. Until now, some are saying that this is the mark of the beast. I cannot confirm or deny it, but I cannot deny that this information and this correlation is too strong to pass out. So I really hope that you that are watching this video haven't received any arrow from this guy here that was released on Earth 2019, because what he's able to do from the inside of your body is simply something out of this world. He was able to conquer people with this, and it's a major sign happening in the sky and also happening on Earth again. So 2 times already happened in the sky and on Earth. So as you can see here, basically the rider of the white horse, after he's released, caused chaos on the Earth. Not as strong as we were expecting, but enough to make around 60 or 70% of the people in the world to receive his solution for his problem. And it's enough to see how major this was and how relevant or how actually possible this is for the first seal to have actually been opened, even without the church leaving, because the church was being tested, I guess, on this earth, if they would receive or not this toxin here from the first horseman. I honestly don't know how much worse this can get, or how much worse this would get in the tribulation in the 7 years, because if this is just a simple observation or just a simple symbolism of what will happen, how much worse can this get? How much worse could a sign in the sky perfectly align to something that actually changed the whole world? I don't know, but I will leave for you guys to think about it and see if this is actually the first seal that was opened, or if it's just a symbolism that will actually play out far worse in the tribulation after the church leaves. I could see it either way, but let's continue here so you guys can see more of this. So now going back here, after the first horseman being released, the second horseman to be released is the horseman of war, symbolized here by the constellation of Scorpio or Eagle, as we saw earlier. Now let's go here to the Bible again and read together the second seal. So Revelation 6 verse 3. When the Lamb opened the second seal, I've heard the second living creature says, "Come." Then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. To him was given a large sword. So the second rider is a red rider, a red one, called War, and he was given power to take peace out of the earth. Remember this when we go to investigate what happened in the sky. So in the constellation here of Scorpio or Eagle, something happened just 1 year after this conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in 2020. So it was given 1 year for people to accept or deny here the toxin from the first rider, and then the second rider would come into play. Because on the 25th of December 2021, 1 year later, it happened a planetary alignment right beginning in the constellation of Scorpio. So now let's go to Stellarium and see what happened there on the 25th of December 2021. So as you can see here, let me just change the hour so it's easier to see. And as you can see here, we have a major alignment in the sky with all of the planets. So Mars is here on the constellation of Scorpio. The Sun is here, Mercury is here, Venus is here, Saturn is here, Jupiter is here, and Neptune is here also. Uranus is somewhere around here as well, and Pluto. So in the end of 2021 and beginning 2022, I remember I've been doing videos telling about this major planetary alignment happening in one side of the Earth. Perhaps you can watch my old videos and you will see a major alignment like this that I showed when we were there. This major planetary alignment beginning here on Scorpio with Mars. So pay attention here to Mars, because Mars is considered to be the one, the red planet. The red planet, and Mars is the Roman god or pagan god of war. So let's go now check some information about Mars. So Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun. He is named after the Roman god of war. He's named after the Roman god of war. So he is red, he is visible, he is named after a god of war, just like the second horseman is called War. And also here, in Greek mythology, he also was known as the Greek god of war, and his name was to be Ares. So Mars from Roman gods was Ares. Ares, the Greek god of war as well. So it is the god of war being portrayed as Mars, or Mars is portraying the god of war. And it's something here very relevant for us, because he is a red planet. He is called after two gods of war, one pagan Roman and one pagan Greek, and they are here beginning this sign here in the sky, this planetary alignment in the constellation of Scorpio, which used to be the eagle. So the second horseman released by the eagle here is beginning with Mars on the constellation of Scorpio, or the eagle. And as you can see, Mars was called Ares, and the brightest star in the constellation of Scorpio is anti-Ares, so, or Antares, which is basically anti-Ares, that which is against Ares or against Mars, anti-Mars. It feels like this star is the star from God, or the living creature that surrounds the throne of God, the cherubim, which is releasing Ares. So anti-Ares is now releasing Ares here with this conjunction, this planetary alignment happening here, beginning on Mars. And as you can see here, what will happen in the next few days after this conjunction begins, you will see that Venus, which is symbolized by the Antichrist himself, or the rider of the white horse, and I will show you guys as well, because we will check on Venus here now. So if we go here to Wikipedia and search about Venus, we see this. So Venus appear in the sky either as a morning star or an evening star. After the moon is the brightest natural object, so it has a lot of light. Is the second largest terrestrial object here. And take a look here. In the Greek mythology, It is called after the goddess of love, Aphrodite, which we will look after. But take a look at what I found here in the English version of Wikipedia. Though they recognize Venus as a single object, the ancient Romans continued to designate the morning aspect of Venus as Lucifer. It is written here, Lucifer, literally the light bringer, as the evening aspect of Vesper, both of which are literal translation of the traditional Greek names. So they were calling literally here Lucifer, Venus as Lucifer, the light bringer. So what else can we say about this? This is clearly a portraying of the enemy, the Satan himself. And the Bible also tells us about this, because if you research morning star, you will see here that on Isaiah 14, God says this about the Venus or the morning star. How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. So God himself tells us that the morning star or Venus would be a symbolism of Lucifer or Satan, who was cast down from heaven. I know that Jesus himself in Revelation calls himself the bright morning star, the new bright morning star, but the first bright morning star, which was supposed to be Lucifer and now it's Satan, he was cast out from heaven. So Venus is a symbolism of Lucifer, of Satan, of the enemy of our souls. And the Bible says this, and also the mythology, the Wikipedia here says this. And the goddess of love, Aphrodite, is also called the goddess Venus. So it's like a female version of the Satan, of Lucifer, because he is the love of God, lust, beauty, pleasure, and it's here with in the Trojan War. Interesting, Trojan War. I just said Trojan horse that was used to win the Trojan War, just like what happened here in the 2019-2020, right? So as you can see here, Venus is clearly a symbolism of the enemy of our soul. So you will see here in the next days after this conjunction begin, Venus as the first rider, the Antichrist, Satan himself. He goes back all the way until the shield. He grabs the shield, waits for Mars, the second horseman, to reach him, and then both together goes together to form another alignment here. So let's go towards the days here, and you see here that Venus is going retrograde into the shield as Mars is coming up after being released by anti-Mars or anti-Aries. And as you can see here, Venus is coming back to grab the shield, the weapon of war, in the sky. He goes to the shield. Now he waits for Mars to reach him. He's waiting for Mars, and then when Mars reaches him, let me just change the hour here so it's easily visible. Now when Mars reaches Venus, both come together to form a new alignment here in the 24th of February 2022. So on the 24th of February 2022, this alignment happened. All the planets are here on the beasts, both hyper beasts, and the sun is pointing the constellation of Aquarius, which would be the second here, the second living creature surrounding the throne of God. And I remember clearly, and I believe you that is watching the signs and the seasons also remember that on the 24th of February 2022, Jupiter was going through the water of Aquarius, and we understand that Jupiter is the male child that is born out of the Revelation 12 sign happening in 2017. When he's going through the water, it kind of means like the water broke. So the baby, the male child, is about to be born to born here in this earth. So we are all paying attention to this when Jupiter was going through the water, meaning the water broke, meaning the baby's about to be born. But we didn't pay attention to what happened right after here, because both beasts here, the beast out of the water and the beast out of the earth, was being pointed here together. Now Venus and Mars are together, Venus being the first beast, the first rider, and Mars now with the shield that Venus grabbed him, has the weapon of war, and he's being released into the earth as well as the second horseman, the war horseman, the second seal being opened. And as you remember as well, on the 24th of February 2022, that's when Russia invaded Ukraine, and that's when peace came out of the earth. So, as we read here, the rider was given power, or the shield there, from Venus to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. Precisely what happened on the 24th of February 2022. Russia invaded Ukraine, and from that point, from that moment on, we see a lot of wars and rumors of wars, because peace was taken from the earth, and now we are so close to a third world war that we have never been this close as we have right now, because they are already talking about nuclear war, they are already talking about nuclear exercises, they are bringing out, Russia is bringing out the weapon, the missile called Satan II. We see also North Korea and South Korea and Japan being on heavily escalating tensions there. Also China is with tensions from Taiwan. So all over the world we have this major rumors of wars that is about to be escalated as soon as one focus of war strikes another. And by today here, France, I believe somebody pointed this out, France is about to close borders and prepare the state of war, just like Russia as well. So we are very, very close to a third world war, to a possibly nuclear war, because peace was taken from the earth precisely when this alignment happened. Jupiter was about to be born, the male child was about to be born, and Mars has just received the power, the weapon of war from the first rider, Venus, which we saw there. And the second rider was released here in this earth, and peace literally was taken out of this earth up until now. Until now, we see peace being out of this earth, and we are very, very close to a dangerous world war here, which I believe the church will not see. I believe we will be taken out before that moment. But indubitably, this is happening in the skies and also happening in the earth. Just like we see something happening upstairs, and now we see something also in the same day happening in this physical world, in this reality which we live in. So this is something major, guys, major. It's already 3 confirmations in the sky and on the earth. So going back here to the presentation, we saw here this rider, or the second rider, being released by the second here living creature surrounding the throne of God, making this conjunction on the 24th of February 2022, when the water broke, when the peace was taken out of this earth. Because once the water from the women breaks, she begins the labor pains, and then literally that's what we are perceiving here on earth, labor pains that is about to get very, very strong very soon, because we are literally seeing the world almost in a huge chaos. So this is happening as we speak right now, and this is something major that I haven't seen many people talking about, and the confirmations in the sky and on the earth is simply out of this world. They are correct up to the date they are happening. They are correct, but it doesn't stop there. Now let's go back here and read the next seal, the next revelation seal. This one is very, very tense. We're about to reach the harder parts of the seals. So, verse 5. When the Lamb opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, Come. I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. So, the black horse was holding a pair of scales. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the four living creatures saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wage. And do not damage the oil and the wine. Brothers and sisters, here we have two major information here in which we can perceive what's happening in the sky out of this verse 5 and 6. First, we see the black horse, and he has a pair of scales in his hand. I believe you can clearly see that something will be happening in the scales. But before that, we see the living creatures, which releases the black horse, the third living creatures, saying this, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wage. And we know wheat is a symbolism for the church, so it will be scarce or expensive, very expensive. The wheat will be very expensive, and also 6 pounds of barley for a day's wage. Also barley, which also could be related to the church, a barley harvest, is also very expensive in this earth. Do not damage the oil, the Holy Spirit, and the wine, which is the blood of Christ that pays for our sins, that pays for our iniquity. So we see here the living creatures portraying here the wheat is becoming scarce, also the barley, but the oil is still available and the wine is still available. So this here could point to a rapture, because the wheat or the barley will leave this earth as the church, the faithful church. So the faithful church will leave this earth, and wheat and barley will become scarce. However, those that are unwise, the unwise virgins, they will still be able to buy oil in the fire, in the tribulation, which I believe this black horse will start here clearly, because famine is something major to happen in the earth. So the oil won't be changed, so they will still be able to buy oil or receive oil if they remain faithful on the tribulation. And the wine or the blood of Christ will still be able to pay for their sins as long as they stay faithful to Christ and die for him if they had to. So first, before going to the black horse, let's see here a conjunction that happens related to what the animals are saying here, the living creature is saying, or the cherubim is saying. So going here to Stellarium, or better yet, let's go here to the presentation, and you will see that after the water broke, the next constellation that has something major happening is precisely the constellation of Virgo. Virgo, which here for me, I believe it symbolizes the eagle as well. Why? Because in Revelation 12, the women will receive the eagles at the wings of a great eagle, which will protect them for 3.5 years. So the women being Israel, they will be protected for 3.5 years into the tribulation, and they will receive wings of a great eagle. And also the woman here is holding wheat or barley, and we can see here this on the Stellarium app as well. So what happens here is right today, or for me already yesterday, on the 18th of October 2022. For me it's yesterday, for some of you it's still today, so that's why I cannot postpone this information any longer. We are among, or just within, this major conjunction happening in Spica, or on the star called also Abib, which is the brightest star on the constellation of Virgo, which is a star associated with barley or wheat, the grain harvest. So let's go here to Stellarium once again, and you will see that today, let's go to October, and the date to the 18th, we see here on the constellation of the Virgin, of Virgo, we see here Venus, the Sun, and Spica on a conjunction here on the constellation of the Virgo on the precisely on the wheat sheaves, on the sheaves of wheat or the sheaves of barley, which is for us, it's like a harvest sign for us, because we are the wheat, we could also be the barley, and we are about to be harvested out of this earth as the faithful church, as the faithful wheat, the faithful barley. And this is also pointing out this moment of time right before the change in the Shemitah cycle, right before the sun reaches the scales, the Libra, right before the cycle for the 7 next years begins. So take a look how major this is. Did you guys see that this is happening today or yesterday? This was happening here as we were watching a major sign here happening. And also Mercury, which is the messenger, is giving a message here as well. The message that the harvest is about to be taken. The message that the harvest here is about to be taken out of this earth, because Venus or Lucifer, the Antichrist, cannot perform all that he wants to do in this earth with the church still in here. Just like 2 Thessalonians 2 says. So, for me, right here in the end of the summer in Israel, right here before the changing of, for the 7th month, the changing of the Shemitah cycle, for me this is a major sign playing out in this constellation, in which Jupiter, the male child, was to be born, or was born out, right after the water being broke on this year. A couple months later, this happens in this constellation, the constellation of the Virgin, which will receive the wings of the great eagle to be flown into security for 3.5 years. So Israel will be protected by the eagle, by the 3rd living creature that released or is about to release the 3rd horseman. And as we spoke previously, the 3rd horseman is holding the scales. So clearly the 3rd horseman is holding the scales. So the next conjunction, the next major sign will be in the scales. And I believe you already know when this is going to be, because we have been talking about this for a couple of videos by now. And from November 8th through November 11, so 8/11 and 11/11, there will be a blood moon in the constellation of Libra. This blood moon is happening in the Feast of Tabernacles, so the last feast of a tetrad, 2021-2022. So a blood moon tetrad happening 2021-2022. In the last blood moon, there will be also a conjunction in Libra, in the scales. So let's take a look here what is happening right after this conjunction in Spica, in Abib, in the sheaves of wheat and barley. So let's go here a couple days. We see here that Venus is falling close the Sun. Mercury, the messenger god, is coming close. And on the 25th of October 2022, that's the last day of Elul. The last day of Elul, the last day of the previous Shemitah cycle. And precisely that day, that's when a partial solar eclipse visible from Jerusalem will be happening to mark the last day of the Shemitah cycle. This is marking the last day of the Shemitah cycle, the last day of Elul, Elul 29 or Elul 30. The next day after this is the first day of Tishrei, the first day of Tishrei, which is Rosh Hashanah or Feast of Trumpets. Trumpets happening right after a partial solar eclipse here, the sun going to the scales, And then we see here that this is the first day, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 11, 9, and 10. On the 10th day of Tishrei, the 10th day of the 7th month, that's Day of Atonement or Day of Judgment. The Day of Judgment, it's happening when Venus and Mercury, so the Antichrist here, the Venus, the first rider, with the Sun and Mercury, the messenger god here. We will look at Mercury soon here. But on the Day of Atonement, on the Day of the Judgment, Sun, Venus, and Mercury doing a conjunction above the scales, above Libra. And then on Tabernacles, 4 more days, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more days, they enter the constellation of the scales. They enter Libra. And then we know that this is when the moon becomes blood red, precisely on the constellation of the Lamb. So the moon is blood red on the constellation of the Lamb. And look here, before the moon is the planet Uranus. Uranus is a name for heaven. Let's see if I can see here, if you can find this. Uranus. Uranus is heaven in Strong's Concordance. Strong's Concordance. Strong's. Take a look. Uranus is heaven. Guys, this is not a joke what's happening in the sky and what's happening on Earth. So the last blood moon of the 2021-2022 tetrad happening on Tabernacles, the ingathering, that's when you gather all of the harvest of the year. So basically the wheat, the barley, the fruits, all of the harvest is gathered in Tabernacles for the Tabernacles of God. And the blood moon is happening on the Lamb, so those who have the blood of the Lamb is being harvested. And besides Uranus, which means heaven, the visible heaven, the spiritual heaven. So this is out of my mind already. What's happening in the sky is so major, so big. I don't have words to describe how crazy and awesome this is right now. So this is something major, guys. This is something out of this world. The confirmations and the conjunctions and what's happening in the skies is so big, so big. It's, if you tell this to somebody who is an unbeliever, they will plainly tell you that you are crazy. But this is so amazing. I'm like mind blown. I'm done this video in Portuguese. I'm doing this in English, and I'm still mind blown by this. So Uranus is the planet which is heaven. So the blood moon, the last blood moon, happening in the Lamb on Tabernacles after the Feast of the Ingathering, together besides Uranus, besides heaven. And while this is happening, what's happening in the other side, those that were left behind, basically, they are about to be faced with the third horseman that was released here, or is being released here, with the scales on Libra. And I believe the horsemen will be released here on 11/11, because they are majorly here in the center of the constellation of Libra, of the scales. And 11 is a number of judgment. So 11/11, judgment. 22 is 11 plus 11. I'll talk about this later here in this video. But to confirm this even further, let's go check the planet Mercury. So the planet Mercury is also in here. And Mercury is the smallest planet in the solar system, closer to the Sun. And it's named after a Roman god, Mercurius. So all of these planets, they are named after pagan gods, which is a abomination for God, because he created this, and they are naming after pagan gods, demons. But take a look what God does. Mercury is the god of commerce. So precisely the effect of the third seal, the third horseman, the black horse, is on the scales, and it affects the economy and brings famine, because wheat and barley is scarce. So this is out of this world. Even the planets, even the position of the planets, even the position of the timing, everything is working perfectly, uh, consecutively, after the first seal, the second seal, and now the third seal, after uh, so many confirmations here happening here in the air, on the skies. And now we know we are on October 19, so this will be a future event. A lot of people are already saying that the rapture may happen here. I don't know, it might be, but I believe it's more connected to the third horseman being released and the blood moon being the rapture, because the blood moon there, besides Uranus, it's simply amazing. So we are looking that most likely on this day on Earth, 11/11, a major judgment will be happening on Earth if it follows the pattern of the first and the second seal. Just like on the first and second seal, they as soon as it happened on the sky, something major happened on the Earth. I believe that this will follow the pattern, and on 11/11/2022, most likely something major will happen in the case of famine. So maybe the full on all-out war, the full nuclear strike happens that brings chaos, destruction, and famine throughout the world. So I believe something major will happen here, but I do believe we won't be here to see it. God forbids we see this, because something really major will happen, but I believe we won't be able to see it because we will be together with God in the air, being protected as a faithful son. This is happening, guys. It's in the near future, and we can see here that from this date that began today all the way until the date of the blood moon and 11/11, I believe for us it is a major possibility for the rapture, because not only the sky is showing us, the constellations are showing us, the position of the planets is showing us, also the Shemitah cycles and the feasts are showing us, but everything is aligned perfectly for a war to happen, or a major war that brings famine to happen. So we might be leaving here very, very soon, between today and 11/11 conjunction there in the scales. I believe it because everything points to this, and it is following a pattern perfectly, as you can see here. It is following this pattern to the date. So we might see here the rapture could already have been happening today, but I believe it will happen between today and the blood moon and the conjunction, but most likely the blood moon, because it's simply amazing, the blood moon happening before Uranus, which is heaven. Now, I do have something to confirm this even further, because if you remember, on 2016, the magazine The Economist released this cover here, predicting the world in 2017. So in the end of the year 2016, they predict the world in 2017. And as you can see here, they have many predictions here about the world in 2017, the moment when the Revelation 12 sign happened, and they have tarot cards here portraying it. The first one I want you to see that is a major and is related to the times we are right now is this one, the Tower. As you can see here, the Tower foreshadows here a division happening between the atheists, the communists, those who are worshiping Satan, and knowing or unknowingly the red flag, against the Christian flag, the Christians, those who believe in Jesus, that follow the morals and the values of Jesus and the Bible. So a major here division happening in the world. That's what they are predicting, and precisely this division is happening today to the date as well, because here in Brazil, as I spoke in previous video, we are seeing the elections, and the elections are precisely a Christian or somebody that defends the Christian values, the right wing here, against the left communist wing, uh, which is a guy that literally just came out of jail and is now, for some miracle reason, being able to uh, run or uh, run the elections here toward being for president of the nation, and he is clearly a using the red flag, the red uh, flag here, the communist flag, to try to destroy the Christian flag, the Christian values. So this is happening in Brazil here, precisely to the date. I believe this also happened earlier in the United States because Joe Biden is only president right now. You know why? Because this major thing that will most likely happen in Brazil as well, this unlikely thing that even though the right wing has even way more followers, the left wing will still somehow win the elections. Uh, so the same thing that happened in the United States, I believe it will happen in Brazil. And it is a division like this. It is Jesus against Barabbas. So Jesus against Barabbas. You either choose Jesus, the Messiah, which for us, our president has Messiah in his name. So his name is Jair Messiah Bolsonaro, the right-wing candidate, the current president. And the second one is a thief. He is a robber. He was out of the jail. He is like Barabbas. So this is the division that is happening right now in Brazil here. And I believe it's already happened or will happen also in the United States, because there will be an election in the United States on the 8th of November, together with the blood moon, the last blood moon of the Tetrad. So the elections on the United States will also happen on the 8th of November, around the same time here, and I believe it will be the same situation: the left against the right, the atheists against the believers, the unbelievers against the Christians, the red flag against the blue flag. This division is happening, and as you can see here on this prediction, it is this division is being stopped by something coming out of the sky. So a light coming out of the sky, let's put it that way, an interference from God himself that strikes this tower to destroy this tower, to stop this war or civil war, this division to happen, as you can see here in the picture. But also something very interesting here is that they point this out here, which is a clue to a church and something nailed to the door of the church, which for us, this is clearly a symbolism for the Reformation, the Protestant Reformation that happened there in Europe in the 16th century. So on 1517, so 505 years from today, before today, Martin Luther, he nailed on the church door the 95 Theses to protest against the Catholic Church, which is the prostitute religion. The prostitute religion is the Catholic Church because they literally have a lot of error and abuse, and they are bringing together a lot of paganism into them and bringing a lot of people into their deception. So the Catholic Church, the prostitute, this Reformation happened, and for us, the 95 Theses that he presented, he nailed to the church door, happened when? Precisely on the 31st of October, 1517. So, guys, in the end of October, and it says here that he nailed the thesis in other churches as well, on the 31st of October or in mid-November. So from 31st of October to mid-November, that's when it is considered to be the day that he nailed the thesis on the church's door. And that's 31st of October is also considered Reformation Day, which is also Halloween or the Witch's Day. So it all is converging to the same date here, because in Brazil, precisely the second shift of the election will happen on the 30th of October, and then the election for the United States as well on the 8th of November, so mid-November. So this is so much coincidence and so much confirmation for us, because even there on the Economist magazine, they are showing us that this is happening, or this interference by God into this division is happening around here the time that the Reformation happened, the Reformation Day. I don't know how they would know this, but surely this is being portrayed here in a magazine in 2017. Something out of this world. Also, we know we have many brothers and sisters and kids who had dreams about the rapture happening around the time of Halloween. So it's also something major to be looking at. And another tarot card that I want you to check is the next one here, is Death, which is the fourth horseman, the last horseman. And as you can see here, that is coming with a nuclear blast, I believe. Nuclear blast here. After famine, after scarcity here, the fish is dead here, symbolizing perhaps the church who is in earth is dead by this. And these animals here that comes out of the bottomless pit, also showing here in this card that they are predicting here. I know that our brother here, God's Roadmap to the End, he made an excellent video about this, portraying many things that I'm saying here as well. I'm just confirming it even further with the sign in the skies. And he did an excellent video here, amazing video. I encourage you all to watch God's Roadmap to the End. Not that you needed from me to see his channel. I believe his channel is bigger. But amazing confirmation that he has here with the dreams, vision, and all of this alignment that he does. And he also believes that we are 1 month off, which is amazing. I already thank him for portraying my video in his channel, which is amazing. So I love this interaction between the watchman, the church, which is the body of Christ, looking at Christ and believing that we are about to get raptured, and we are all together working with this. And I love his video, and he loved my video as well, and we are here together believing the same thing. The rapture could happen anytime between now here and November the 13th here ish, let's put it that way. So amazing video, check it out. It confirms my video as well, and he is the one who gave me this information. And I believe the next horseman here, the horseman of the last horseman, the horseman of death, is the last one in the next one that will be coming up after the conjunction in November, as we saw here. So after the conjunction of November, the next here conjunction will happen in the next hybrid beast, Capricornus, the beast that comes out of the earth, out of the water. So the first one came out of the earth, the hybrid beast, and the last one will come out of the water, the hybrid beast of the water, Capricornus. So let's first read in Revelation. In Revelation here 6, what happened in the next seal. So let's go here, read Revelation 6 and the fourth seal. 7, verse 7. When the Lamb opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades, or Hell, was following close behind him. They were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill by the sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. So the fourth seal the fourth horseman, it's kind of like a conjunction of all of the other situations combined. So sword from the war, the second horseman, famine from the third horseman, plague from the first horseman. They used the plague to inject people with their conquest, with their toxin. And he adds here the wild beasts of the earth, because most likely people will be fleeing to the wilderness because of persecution, and that's why the wild beasts will attack people as well, because they will be in the wilderness fleeing the persecution. So the fourth horseman, it's a major horseman. After famine, I believe in here, literally the bomb will blow, literally the nuclear blast will blow. The situation will be very dark in this seal here. Definitely, as we can read here, 1/4 of the earth will be killed. So out of 8 billion people, which will achieve by the middle of November, we will reach 8 billion people in the world. Just Google it and you will see. 1/4 is 2 billion people will die in this situation, this seal, when this seal is opened. And you will see in Stellarium how close after the famine of after the third horseman this is. So going back here to the presentation, the next conjunction, it's so close to the third horseman. It is right after on the 23rd of January 2023. A conjunction happens in the constellation of Capricornus, the hybrid beast. So let's go to Stellarium and see this happening here. So here we are, 11/11, the third horseman being released, and now soon after, let's go going through the days here. We see the Venus and Mercury, the first and the third horseman, keeps together all the way into the middle, all the way into the between the both beasts here in the sky. So they keep together here, going a bit farther apart, but they continue together until December. We see here December, and then on January they start to go apart, because Venus will find the fourth horseman, the horseman of death, which is right here at the end of the constellation of Capricornus, which is Saturn. So let's go here, and we see here that on the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd-ish day of January, that's when the sun will be being eaten by the Capricornus, the death. So like death is entering the world, and the sun will be killed by 1/4. So the light will be leaving this earth because death is coming up. And Venus, the first horseman, and Saturn, the fourth horseman, is coming together here, marking the beast that comes out of the water, Capricornus. So this is major, that is happening right in January 2023, on the 23rd day, right after the famine, the third horseman. This happens so quickly, and we will look at Saturn. So you can see here the other planet. So the other planet is the sixth planet, so 666 as well, right? Second largest in the solar system. Let's go to what it matters here. So it is called, Saturn is named after a Roman god, another pagan god of wealth and agriculture, and also gives the name for Saturn Day. So Saturn Day, it's Saturday. It's Saturday comes from Saturn Day. This comes from a paganized Catholic Church that came and brought this inside the church, this paganism. So Jupiter, a huge planet here, that it's awful. I don't tell you to research too much, because Saturn is an awful thing. He has Saturnalia. He has so many things that is very awful here about this god here. But let's go to his mythology here. It's a Roman god of generation, dissolution, abundance, and he equates to Kronos, the Greek god Kronos, which I believe there's something to do with also the Antichrist here. But take a look what it says about him. He was expelled from heaven by his son Jupiter. So Jupiter, which we know it is the male child from Revelation 12 sign, the male child will take the place in heaven from Saturn. So Saturn will be expelled from the heavens by Jupiter, the male child. And he takes refuge on the earth in Latium, Lazio, which is a region in Italy where the city of Rome, or the Catholic Church, is built. So take a look how incredible this is. The story of Saturn is that he was expelled from heaven. The Jupiter, the male child, takes his place. He goes back to the earth and to Rome, and he exercises sovereignty in Rome and brings a golden age. So the golden age that the Illuminati, that those that control this world wants, this beast, this fourth beast, will be bringing up the golden age that they call the golden age, which will be brought by the Antichrist or the false Messiah here, or the false prophet, I don't know. But he is expelled from heaven and he brings a golden age. He was the one in the tradition. He is attributed to the origin of Rome. So Saturn was the one that created Rome, created the Catholic Church here, and we will go back to Catholic Church here to what? To unify the religions, bring one religion out of the Catholic Church, and he will be sovereign in that religion. He will unite the religions. He will be bringing the world to a golden age, and he is the horseman of death. So how crazy this is. But Rome built a temple from him. In a lot of things happen here on Rome. I know serpent as his band here. So he's the serpent. He will be taking refuge in Rome, in Italy, precisely where Rome is, where the Vatican is. He will be taking refuge there after being expelled from heaven, and he will unite the religions here, definitely bringing the golden age. So Saturn, clearly the beast out of the earth, the last beast, which will bring death. 1/4 of the world will die because of him, because he will bring this unified religion, and whoever doesn't accept that religion, accepted throughout the world, will be persecuted and have to flee to the wilderness. Otherwise, they will be killed as well by the sword. So basically, all of the planets, all of the constellations, all of the conjunctions is clearly showing us the same situation of the Revelation, the same situation that we have been seeing here. And it is very clear. It's clear as crystal. And the sea of crystal that we see here once we get into the throne of heaven, it is clear as crystal. Something is definitely happening in the skies, and to the date it's happening on the earth. The next one is the rapture, I believe, happening anytime between now and November. And in November, I believe famine will come, and soon after, death will come to bring this major religion here to the world. And I believe that this guy, this fourth horseman, will be released by the fourth living creature, which is the ox-faced angel. And the conjunction in the ox will be happening 1 year after that, on 2024. Just for the sakes for you to understand and see this, I will go to Stellarium, and on 2023, nothing major happening in the sky. There won't be many eclipses or blood moons, but in 2024, in June, we see the conjunction happening here in the bull. Also in here, I can see here, also after in Gemini, but in the bull here, we see on the horns of the bull, of the ox, this conjunction happens with Venus and Mercury and the Sun here, and also Jupiter in the bull, which I believe is the fourth living creature releasing their death, or major death, in 2024, approaching there the middle point of the tribulation, I believe. So these are in the future, and we cannot predict precisely what will happen. But if it follows the pattern, as we have been seeing here, for one, two, three, four, five constellations, it will follow this pattern. If it follows the pattern, then something major will also happen in 2024 related to death, related to the fourth horseman as well. So as you can see here, I counted the days between the four horsemen here being released. The first, from the first to the second one, it took 2 years and 2 months, or 26 months. From the second to the third, it took only 9 months. From the second horseman to the third horseman, and from the third horseman to the fourth horseman, it will take only 2 months, as if the days are being shortened, and they are going quicker and quicker. So this is happening as we speak right now. We are in the season for the harvest, the last harvest of the year, the harvest of the church, the harvest of the wheat and the barley, the sheaves that the Virgo is holding, before the constellation of Libra points out the third horseman, the horseman of famine, coming up in the world. And as we can see that the tensions rising up and rising up, I really believe we are very soon to find out, or to see that actually the big war, as we are expecting, and the famine after the war will happen anytime between now and the 11th sign in the sky. This is clearly for us that it's happening. It's already 1 hour and 38, about 40 minutes of live stream, guys. I have no idea how my voice is still working after another almost 2 hours of live stream. But I believe God is using myself to show you guys what's happening here. And as you can see here, we are very, very close to the rapture. Very, very close to the moment we have been expecting and waiting for the past 7 years. Some people even more years than we have been. But now we are seeing a conjunction of the stars, the planetary alignments, everything in the sky and on the earth converge to this moment for the rapture to happen. And it's already almost 2 hours, but I haven't finished this yet, because I even have more information to show you guys. And I will quickly go through here, because I believe I already shown you enough for you to believe we are very, very close to the rapture. But let's go here to some dreams here. I spoke about these dreams on my previous video, so I won't stay along for here. Basically, on the 28th of September, I had a dream in which I saw a red horizon that sounded like a war, a major war broke out. People were going through to the markets to buy food, to stock on food, because they believed that it either has begun or was about to begin a war, a major war. And that's what I believe we will be seeing soon, due to all of the tensions rising up in the world. And that's when people started going to their refuges. Somebody called me in my dream to go to this refugee, and I found I was in a group of people, and together we were walking towards this destination that was to be a refugee. But an angel-like person appeared to me in white clothes within those people that were walking with me, and said to me, precisely saying my name, Ricardo, our refugee is not in here. The time has come, let's go. And this angel, this person, disappears in front of me, and I understood that it was the rapture. I spoke with the people that were walking with me, because many people were being left behind there. I spoke about the refugee, and I left my phone open for them. And as soon as I look up, my body started to feel light. I started to feel a heat and a strong white light take control of me, and then I disappear. And I disappear, and then I see myself again walking in a different way, in a beautiful path with many beautiful things around me, like plants and the sky. And then my wife calls me out. I realize that she is there with me, I still don't realize where I am at that moment in my dream. But a group of people approached me. I didn't know who they were, but I recognized one face there. It is Aaron from God a Minute in my dream. He was there, and I saw that I recognized him. He hugged me, and I realized that we were in heaven at that moment, that it finally happened, the rapture. So that was my dream in the 28th of September. And then a brother in this channel here sent me an email telling that he had also had a major rapture dream about uh, on the 28th of September as well, together with mine, and he also wrote on a notepad just like me. He sent me, and his dream basically said that he was in a talk show with Christ. They asked Christ when was the rapture happening, and the Lord got a piece of paper, like a poster board, and in this piece of paper he had a smile on his face. He had a picture holding a menorah, the candle from the Jews, the seven candle, the menorah, and then on the left hand side, his right hand side, a red word was written, Manjetsu. He had this dream on the 28th of September as well. He sent me. He went to check if this word is it's a real word here, Manjetsu, and he discovered that it is a Japanese word which means full moon. So the word in red in the menorah calling in Japanese, he doesn't speak Japanese clearly, and it is a red full moon, which Jesus answered everybody on the talk show there in his dream. So red moon, clearly tabernacles for us, precisely the moment we were expecting. And also the following day after my dream and his dream, on the 29th day, my wife also had a dream about the rapture. She also saw the red sky, and then she also saw the sky shaking and trembling, and that's when Jesus came out in the clouds and brought forth his hands to pick up the church, the bride. So that's her dream on the following day after my dream and this brother's dream. So three confirmations for us in the 28th and 29th day here of uh, September, basically pointing us that the rapture is very soon to happen, because we don't usually have rapture dreams. It is rare, but happening here, one after the other, with the brother in the United States. We are in Brazil here, so three confirmations around the world for us that the rapture is happening, is very soon. I have this October 2022 events happening here with links to the news. I won't be telling about the news here because it will be very long, but basically you see that the catastrophe is about to happen. A lot of rising tensions about the Third World War. It's happening around us, and they are escalating this even further because things has to happen. But on the 25th day, remembering it is a partial solar eclipse on the last day of Elul, right before the changing in the Shemitah cycle, right before the Feast of Trumpets. So it's a major moment for us as well. I put it up that from the 18th, which is today, all the way until the 11th, it is a major day for us to be expecting a rapture. So stay put, have oil in your lamps, because we are very soon to leave. I believe anytime between now and the 11th sign in the sky. And to finish this up, I put this a menorah lamp here, which is the candlestick from the Jews, or from the Bible. And I crunched some numbers here to understand why would the rapture happen in tabernacles. And then I understood that the first resurrection happened on Passover. It happened on the 17th day of the first month, or the month of Nisan, as we call. The 17th day of the first month, the first resurrection happened with Jesus' resurrection. So on Passover, he resurrected the Old Testament saints. It is very likely that the second resurrection, of the resurrection of the church of grace, happens on Tabernacles, which is the 17th day of the 7th month, which is Tabernacles, the third day of Tabernacles, and it is the last feast of the 7 major feasts here, which is very interesting for us as well, because it is like they are pointing towards the middle point here. So, and the first month was used to be the 7th month, and the seventh month used to be the first month. So Nisan was to be the seventh month, and Tishri was to be the first month, and it is interchangeable. God changed that with Moses, calling Nisan the first and Tishri the seventh. That's why Rosh Hashanah, or the head of the year, is still being considered on Tishri, because it is the counting since the creation of the world. So it could be that the second resurrection, the resurrection of the grace of the church happens on the 17th day of the seventh month, which is Tabernacles, the third day of Tabernacles. For us, this date will be following exactly on 11/11/2022. So the 11th of November 11th, 2022, that's when it is the 17th day of the seventh month, precisely for us. And as you can see, 11, and it is 11/11, and 22 is 11 plus 11, which is 4 times the 11th number, which is judgment. 11 means judgment, and also 11th is the 11th Shemitah cycle since Israel's rebirth. So since they became a nation, this Shemitah cycle is starting on the 1st of Tishrei, on the 26th of October. These will be the first feasts on the 11th Shemitah cycle here. So this is a major also happening for us. And to complete this even further and close with a golden key, on the 13th of November 2022, all of the world religions will unite on Mount Sinai, asking God for directions for a new 10 commandment. So this is something that I have to show you guys, because it's unbelievable the amount of things we are happening here. So we see that on November 2022, from 6th of November all the way until 18th of November, the COP27 will be happening, which is the climate conference from the United Nations. So the climate conference from the United Nations will be covering the Feast of Tabernacles in its full, also the blood moon on the 8th of November, and I believe, and I have been speaking this in previous videos, that the Antichrist will be here, because this is the perfect moment for him to come and bring his new religion here, the world religion, to deceive the nations. And now I see that actually the world religions, as they were making videos to the Elijah Interfaith Institute here, they made videos on YouTube, bringing to make friends, to unite here all of the religions. They are making this thing here, which is returning to Sinai, a prophetic call for climate justice and ceremony repentance. Sunday, November 13, 2022, on Mount Sinai, in parallel with the COP27 UN Climate Conference. So what do they want with this? Basically, they want religious leaders will return to Mount Sinai, a mountain whose memory and meaning loom large as the place of revelation in the collective consciousness of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. It's a site for turning to God and receiving God's message. So they're expecting to receive a God's message there in Mount Sinai on the 13th of November, right on Feast of Tabernacles, to have a climate justice, the 10 universal commandments. So they want 10 universal or worldly commandments to receive from God on Mount Sinai. So this is a perfect moment for the Antichrist to come up, for Satan to be cast out of the heaven and deceive the nations, deceive the religions there on Mount Sinai, and bring his 10 commandments, his new 10 commandments, the climate commandments, to what? To deceive the nations, and then to enforce his unified religion in the world. This is a perfect place for the great deception that will come, just like on 2 Thessalonians 2. So a perfect moment for a great deception happening here with the religions of the world. They will do this precisely on this moment of time. They are the Elijah Interfaith Institute, together with the Interfaith Center for Sustainable Development, and the Peace Department on the United States. The Peace Department. When they say peace and security, then sudden destruction comes to them. And the sudden destruction will come as they miss the rapture and receive famine, the third horseman, or death even, the fourth horseman, I don't know. But as we have seen there on the Constellations is more likely famine will appear with the Antichrist to deceive the nations, the sudden destruction after the church leaves. So here, returning to Mount Sinai, a prophetic call for climate justice and ceremony of repentance. So they are calling God on Mount Sinai to receive this new 10 commandments of the earth, the climate justice, for universal thing for them. Very interesting because, again, they are doing this precisely when? Precisely when I have shown you guys this graph here. They are doing this on the Feast of Tabernacles, which is precisely the moment when Moses came down a second time from Mount Sinai with the new Ten Commandments and with his face glowing. So it's a perfect time for the Antichrist, for the beast, to deceive them with his face glowing as well, with the new 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai, prophetically Mount Sinai, on the Feast of Tabernacles, as they expecting. But the Jews and most of the church, they will believe they are on the 8th month, the month when the flood starts. So this is very interesting as well, because it will be Tabernacles. They will be precisely on that moment when Moses came down the mountain with the commandments. But for them, they will believe they are in the moment when the flood comes. So very interesting how things are working out in this moment of time, with the church, with the earth, with the clock in the sky, with everything, as we have been seeing here. So guys, 2 hours of live stream already. This is too much information to digest, but it's just simply too much. It's simply enough. I believe we cannot add anything more to this. We simply now have to wait and see what happens. But it's too much evidence to not for it not to be anything. I believe very soon, very shortly, we will be leaving this earth as a whole body of Christ, as the faithful servants, as the faithful church, and we will be talking about this in heaven very, very soon with the Lamb, with our brothers and sisters who are also watching, and we will have been seeing what actually happens on the earth, because all of this is pointing towards the same moment of time, and it's something amazing, a convergence out of this world, and something like this will never happen again in such a large convergence, coincidence, and anything you can say here. It's out of this world. It's something amazing, and I really hope that all of you that watch this video here are ready to meet your Maker in the sky, are ready to be with the Lamb in his wedding, being the bride of Christ. And I hope you have oil and be ready to be delivered from this earth, delivered from the horsemen of the apocalypse, the horsemen of Revelation that are already causing chaos on this earth, if they are already here, or if they are not a symbolism of something worse. But if they are already here, I hope that you are ready to live before famine and before death, which will come very, very shortly in this scenario. So God bless each and every one of you who have been staying with me here for 2 hours, listening to me speak here. But I believe this has blessed you plenty, and I believe we will be meeting each other very shortly in the sky very, very soon. Maranatha, my brothers and sisters, I hope to see all of you very, very shortly, very soon in the sky, anytime between now and the 11:11 sign in the sky. Maranatha.